Some symbols are chosen by governments. Others feel like they choose themselves. Long before the bald eagle became the face of America, people feared it, not because it attacked them, not because it hunted them, but because of the way it watched. Silent, unmoving, high above forests wrapped in morning fog, it would sit alone on dead branches like a ghost that had seen too much. And when storms rolled across the sky, people noticed something strange. The smaller birds disappeared. The forests went quiet, and somewhere above the clouds, the eagle appeared, almost like it already knew what was coming. For centuries, native tribes believed the bald eagle carried messages between worlds. Soldiers carried its feathers into war. Entire civilizations painted it beside gods and thunder. But here's the mystery no one really talks about. Out of every creature in North America, why did America choose this one? Why the bald eagle? Why not the bear? The wolf? The buffalo? Why a bird that almost vanished forever? And why do so many people, even today, describe the feeling of seeing one like witnessing something ancient watching back? Because the truth behind America's symbol is darker, stranger, and far more emotional than most people realize, especially when you discover what nearly happened to the bald eagle before it became untouchable. And by the end of this story, you may never look at that white-headed silhouette the same way again. The first thing you notice about a bald eagle is the silence, not its size, not the wingspan, not even the piercing yellow eyes. It's the silence. You expect something so massive to sound powerful, but bald eagles move through the sky like shadows, cold air sliding over 6-foot wings, barely a sound. Early settlers described seeing them at dawn, hovering over rivers covered in mist, watching, waiting, sometimes perfectly still for hours. And there was something unsettling about that stillness. Most birds seem nervous around humans. Quick movements, constant noise. But the bald eagle doesn't panic. It studies you, as if it's trying to decide something. And that unnerved people, especially in the wilderness of early America, where forests stretched endlessly, and survival often depended on reading nature's warnings. Hunters began noticing strange patterns. Before violent storms, eagles appeared more often. Before fish migrations, they gathered silently near rivers. And after battles, they circled above smoke-filled fields long before anyone else arrived. To some, it felt less like instinct and more like awareness. Stories spread quickly. Stories about giant eagles appearing before death, about lone birds staring through cabin windows during harsh winters, about feathers found on battlefields before soldiers even arrived. Most of those stories were probably fear mixed with coincidence. Probably. But even now, people who encounter bald eagles up close often describe the same strange feeling. Not fear exactly. Something heavier, like being judged by nature itself. And maybe that feeling is exactly why America chose it. Because from the beginning, this country wasn't trying to look gentle. It wanted to look untouchable. But the eagle's story began long before America existed. Long before cities, long before borders. Long before the first flag, the bald eagle ruled North America for thousands of years. Its territory stretched from frozen Alaska to the swamps of Florida. It hunted over endless rivers, nested on cliffs, and survived storms powerful enough to destroy entire forests. And unlike many birds, bald eagles mate for life. Year after year, they return to the same nest, repairing it, expanding it, protecting it. Some nests grow enormous over time, so large they can weigh more than a car. Think about that. A structure built slowly, through loyalty and survival, generation after generation. There's something almost human about it. Ancient tribes noticed that too. For many Native American nations, the bald eagle wasn't just an animal. It was sacred, a messenger between Earth and the Creator. Its feathers were used in ceremonies, healing rituals, and prayers, not because the bird was feared, but because it flew higher than anything else, closer to the sky, closer to whatever existed beyond it. And when an eagle appeared overhead, people paid attention. Some believed it carried warnings. Others believed it carried truth. Either way, its presence meant something. Even its appearance feels unnatural in a way. That sharp white head against the dark body. Those impossible eyes, the hooked beak stained yellow like old ivory. It almost doesn't look real, like nature designed it specifically to be remembered. And maybe that's why it became impossible to ignore during America's birth. By the late 1700s, the colonies had survived war. The United States was becoming a nation. But nations need symbols, something powerful enough to represent identity, strength, survival, and dominance. Many animals were considered. The rattlesnake already symbolized resistance. The buffalo represented the land itself. Some even argued for the turkey. And strangely enough, one of America's founding fathers absolutely hated the idea of the bald eagle. Benjamin Franklin called it a bird of bad moral character, not because it was weak, but because bald eagles often steal food from other birds, especially from ospreys. Franklin thought the turkey was more honest, more respectable. Imagine that. America almost became the land of the turkey. But while Franklin criticized the eagle, everyone else couldn't stop staring at it. Because the bald eagle didn't just look powerful, it looked inevitable, like something born to rule empty skies. And in 1782, America made its decision. The bald eagle became the national symbol, a creature of wilderness, chosen to represent a country still trying to survive its own chaos. But almost immediately, something strange happened. The symbol became more important than the animal itself. Paintings glorified it. Coins stamped its image. Flags spread its wings across battlefields. But the real bald eagles, the living ones, started disappearing. At first, nobody noticed. America was expanding fast. Forests vanished. Rivers changed. Gunshots echoed through wilderness that had once been silent. And eagles were often the first to leave. Farmers viewed them as threats. Hunters shot them for sport. Some believed they stole livestock. Others killed them simply because they were predators. Thousands died. Then came something worse. Industry. Factories poured chemicals into rivers. Fish became poisoned. Entire ecosystems weakened. And high above it all, the bald eagles kept feeding, kept hunting, kept passing invisible poison into their own bodies. Until one chemical changed everything. DDT, a pesticide sprayed across America after World War II. At first, it seemed harmless, efficient, modern. But scientists soon discovered something terrifying. The poison moved through the food chain. Fish absorbed it. Smaller animals absorbed it. And by the time it reached bald eagles, their bodies began collapsing from the inside. The eggshells became dangerously thin. Parents would sit on their eggs and accidentally crush them. Imagine that. A species surviving ice ages, storms, hunters, and centuries of wilderness, suddenly unable to protect its own young. Nests grew quiet. Entire regions lost their eagles completely. And still, many people ignored it because the symbol remained everywhere. On buildings, on military uniforms, on money. America kept celebrating the image, while the real creature drifted toward extinction. By the 1960s, fewer than 500 nesting pairs remained in the lower United States. 500, that's all. The bird meant to symbolize freedom was vanishing in silence. And perhaps the most haunting part, most Americans didn't even realize it was happening. There's an old photograph taken during that period. A lone bald eagle standing near polluted water, its feathers soaked with rain, factories rising behind it like shadows. When you look at the image, it doesn't feel like you're seeing a bird. It feels like you're watching nature lose something important, something ancient. And then, people finally began listening. Scientists sounded alarms. Conservationists fought desperately to protect nesting grounds. DDT was banned in the United States. Laws changed. Protected habitats expanded. For the first time in a long time, America stopped treating the bald eagle like a symbol and started treating it like a living thing. But recovery wasn't instant. Years passed. Many nests stayed empty. Entire generations grew up without seeing a bald eagle in the wild. And that absence changed something, because humans often don't notice what nature means to them until it disappears. Then, slowly, almost unbelievably, they returned. One nesting pair became 5, 5 became 50, then hundreds. Young eagles filled skies that had gone silent decades earlier. People cried seeing them again, not metaphorically, literally. There are stories of elderly veterans breaking down beside rivers after spotting one overhead, children freezing in awe during their first sighting, entire crowds stopping traffic just to watch an eagle cross the sky. Why? Because the bald eagle had become more than a national symbol. It became proof that destruction wasn't always permanent, proof that nature could still fight its way back from the edge. But there's another reason bald eagles affect people so deeply, and it has nothing to do with patriotism. It's the eyes. Researchers studying eagle behavior discovered something fascinating. Bald eagles maintain intense visual focus longer than most birds. When they lock onto movement, they rarely break attention. That unwavering stare triggers something psychological in humans. We instinctively feel watched, measured, even vulnerable. And maybe that explains why encounters with bald eagles feel so emotional. Because unlike smaller birds, they don't seem afraid of us. They seem aware of us. There are countless reports from hikers, fishermen, and campers describing moments that sound almost unreal. A lone eagle appearing during grief. An eagle watching silently during funerals near rivers. Birds circling overhead moments before emotional life events. Of course, science would call most of this coincidence, and maybe it is. But humans have always searched for meaning in nature, especially in creatures that survive against impossible odds. And the bald eagle has survived almost everything. War, poison, deforestation, near extinction. Even now, its numbers are recovering. But the threats haven't disappeared. Habitat destruction still spreads. Climate patterns are changing. Pollution still poisons waterways. And each year, eagles are found injured by fishing lines, lead poisoning, and collisions with human structures. The symbol survived. But survival is never guaranteed. And maybe that's the real reason the bald eagle became America's symbol. Not because it's perfect, not because it's noble, not even because it's powerful, but because its entire existence reflects something deeply human: struggle, survival, loss, recovery. The bald eagle is not a creature untouched by darkness. It has lived through it, and somehow, it kept flying. Maybe that's why seeing one in the wild feels different from seeing any other bird. For a few seconds, everything becomes quiet. Your mind stops racing, and you realize you're looking at something that has witnessed centuries pass beneath its wings. Something ancient enough to remind us that nature was here long before us, and may remain long after us. So the next time you see a bald eagle overhead, pay attention to the silence around it. The way smaller birds disappear, the way people stop talking, the way the air itself suddenly feels heavier. Because for thousands of years, humans have looked at that bird and felt the exact same thing. Wonder, fear, respect, and a strange feeling that something behind those golden eyes understands more than it should. Maybe that's superstition. Maybe it's instinct. Or maybe some symbols choose themselves after all. And if you've ever had a strange encounter with a bald eagle, or any bird that made the world suddenly feel different, tell us in the comments below. Because some of the most mysterious stories come from ordinary people who witnessed something they still can't explain. And if you enjoy cinematic bird mysteries like this, subscribe to Backyard Bird Mystries. Because out there, hidden in forests, skies, and silent places, nature is still watching, and some mysteries never truly leave.